He thought he could touch my life and walk away clean. My boss, a married man, a man with power, a man who loved humiliating other people just to feel tall, tried to sleep with my girlfriend. When she said no, he didn't sulk. He didn't move on. He destroyed her. He made up lies. He got her fired. Shipped out of the company like she was nothing but inconvenience. And I'll be honest with you, something inside me snapped that day, but I didn't yell. I didn't swing. I didn't threaten him in the parking lot the way I wanted to. I watched. I waited. And when the time came, I took every secret he'd ever bragged about, and I mailed them to his wife. He lost the house, the marriage, the money, the image, everything. And my girlfriend? She's my wife now. This is what really happened. Before we go any deeper, hit like, subscribe, and listen all the way to the end. Because this isn't just office drama. This is about power. About what happens when the wrong person finally gets told no. And about why you should never, ever play games with someone who knows where you keep the bodies. Now let me tell you how I ruined him. You learn a lot about a man by how he treats people he thinks he owns. This was a few years back. I was working for a multi-site operation. Same company, multiple locations across different towns. We weren't some Silicon Valley startup. This was production, operations, logistics, deadlines, quotas. Real work with real people in it. And at the top of our location, my boss, let's call him Rick. Rick was the type of boss who walks into a room like it already belongs to him, fast talker, loud laugh, always in motion, always busy, type A to the point of mania. He didn't manage. He dominated. He'd clap someone on the back so hard it made their coffee spill, then laugh about it. He'd say, "We're a family here." Like that meant we owed him something. He liked control. Control wasn't just something he did. It was how he breathed. If you've ever worked in a place like that, you know the energy. He wasn't the loudest because he had something to say. He was the loudest because silence made him itch. The other thing about Rick, he was married. Married to another employee, actually. Someone in our company, not in our exact building, but very much in our world. That never stopped him. Rick had this disgusting hobby. He didn't just cheat. He collected. He called it photography. That's what he said if you asked him why he always had a camera bag. Photography. As if he was into lighting and angles and color study. No. His hobby was, he took photos of himself having sex with the women he cheated with. Face in the frame, body in the frame, full contact, no shame. He'd show them off like trophies, let me say that again. Because it still makes me angry. He would pass around printed pictures, actual physical photos, and of himself sleeping with different women who worked in or around the company. He'd show them to guys on the production floor like a teenager showing off a new car. Check this one. Out, he'd grin. Met her at inventory review. He'd say, "This one's crazy," he'd whisper. That was his personality. He didn't just want the women. He wanted the power of being able to say, "Look what I took. Look what I can get away with." That was the kind of man I worked for. Now here's where I come in. Around this time, I started seeing someone who worked at one of our other locations. Different town, same company. She wasn't in my office physically. We met during cross-site project meetings, group calls, that kind of thing. We'd talk after hours, then more, then more. You know that quiet little glow at the start, where you feel like maybe this could be real? That was us. Her name for this story is Anna. Anna wasn't loud. Anna wasn't dramatic. She was kind. She was tired most of the time because she actually cared about doing her job right. She held herself together in that way good women do, where you can't tell how many cuts they've had to plaster over just to show up in one piece. We weren't public. We weren't making out in the break room. We hadn't told everyone because we wanted to figure out if it was serious before we went feeding it to the rumor mill. But I wasn't hiding it either. I mentioned her. I smiled differently when I talked about her. You know how it is. People can tell when you're seeing someone for real. And eventually it got around. And eventually, Rick found out. The way I learned that he knew was simple. He called me into his office one morning, closed the door behind me, and leaned back in his chair like a king about to issue orders. "So," he said, smiling, "I hear you and Anna have been getting pretty close. Just like that. No preface. No. How are you? No. I hope this doesn't make things awkward. Straight into my personal life like he had a right. I just kept my face level. Yeah, we're seeing each other. He nodded like that belonged to him. That's good. That's good. Gotta blow off some steam, you know? Gotta get your needs taken care of or you can't focus on work, you know what I mean? My skin crawled. I just said, she's not that. She's my girlfriend. He smiled bigger. Then he said something that should have told me everything I needed to know about what was coming. He said, "Does she know who I am?" Read that again. Not, "Does she know we work together?" Not, "Does she know I'm married?" Not, "Does she know I'm your boss and this is messy?" No. Does she know who I am? That was Rick in one line. He thought he was irresistible by default. He thought women should just fall in line because he had a title, had money, had confidence, had nerve. He wasn't warning me. He was introducing himself. That was the first moment I felt real anger toward him. Before that, I just thought he was crude, messy, arrogant, gross. After that line, I felt something new, something sharp. I walked out of his office and my heart was beating weird. Not fast. Hard. Controlled. That kind of anger where you're not yelling, you're getting very, very quiet. I remember thinking, don't go anywhere near her. Don't touch what's mine. Then he did. See? Rick did regular site tours. Officially, it was to check on processes and standardize quality across locations. Unofficially, it was so he could go shopping. That's what the women called it behind his back. Shopping. Rick goes to a site. Rick flirts. Rick corners. Rick mentors. Rick offers career conversations. Rick asks for loyalty. Rick sleeps with whoever gives in, and then he comes back and brags. That was the game. Everyone knew the game. Everyone laughed about it because that's how you survive in these places. You laugh so you don't see how ugly it actually is. But this time, he wasn't going shopping. This time, he had a target. He went to Anna's location. He knew where she worked. He knew where she sat. He knew her schedule. He'd asked me about her on purpose. He'd been mapping it out like a hunt, and I wasn't there. That's the part that still makes my blood go cold. I wasn't there. He shows up at her office like it's just another leadership walkthrough. Clipboard. Charming grin. Corporate polo shirt. Wedding ring on, by the way. The wedding ring was part of his thing. He didn't hide that he was married. He liked using it as a psychological tool. The message was, I'm wanted. I'm chosen. Women sleep with me even though I'm taken. I must be worth something. So he walks into her office, and he plays nice at first. That's what she told me later. He leans on her cubicle wall, starts asking her questions that sound innocent but aren't. How are you liking things? Are they treating you right here? Anyone giving you trouble? Is there anything you need and not getting? He came off like he was there to help. Then he pivots. He leans a little closer, lowers his voice and goes, "You know, I can make things happen for you. I look after people who look after me." Direct, sleazy. She laughs, awkward. Because that's what women are trained to do. Make it soft. Make it go away without making it a fight. She told me later, "I thought maybe he was just one of those guys who flirts with everyone." Then he got bolder. "Listen," he said. "You and I should spend some time, privately. Get to know each other. I've got a hotel already this trip." "You're beautiful. You know that, right?" "You're gorgeous." "You're killing me." "Your boyfriend doesn't have to know." She said no. God, I love her for that. I loved her already, but after she told me that part, I don't even have words for the pride I felt. She said no, real no, not haha maybe, not I'm busy. She told him, straight up, face to face, "I'm with someone. I'm not interested in you. Please don't talk to me like that." He didn't like that. Men, like Rick, don't hear the word no as no. They hear it as, "You must not have understood who you're talking to." That's when he dropped the smile, his whole body language changed. She said it was like flicking a switch. His face went harder. He stood up straighter. He wasn't leaning on the cubicle like fun boss anymore. He was, "I'm in charge here now," and he said, voice low and colder, "You know I sign off on head count for this office, right?" That wasn't flirtation. That was threat. That was, you answer to me. That was, your future is in my hands. That was, you're on my list now. She told him again, because she's strong. I'm not interested. He said, you'll regret that. 2 days later, she was called into HR for a meeting. They told her there had been concerns about attitude. They told her there had been performance issues. They told her that she didn't seem committed to the company culture. They let her go. Just like that. No write-up, no improvement plan. No, here's documentation over the last 6 months. No chance. Just, we're going to have to part ways. She lost her job because she wouldn't sleep with my boss. Let me say that clearly. My girlfriend was fired because she said no to a married man who thought she was his to take. I remember getting the call. I was at my desk, mid-morning. I saw her name light up on my phone, and I smiled before I answered, because just seeing that name used to pull something inside me into place. I said, "Hey, what's up?" I will never forget her voice. It was steady. Too steady. "Hey," she said quietly. I wanted you to hear it from me. I got let go." At first, I thought I'd heard wrong. I actually pulled the phone from my ear and stared at it like maybe the connection broke. "What?" They said I'm not a cultural fit. "Who said that?" "HR. Who told HR?" Pause. "He was just here," she whispered. "Your boss, Rick. He came over. He talked to me. Something inside me went ice cold. Did he touch you?" I said, and I heard myself. I heard the way my own voice changed. "No," she said quickly. "No, he didn't touch me. He just offered." I said no, and now I'm out. I didn't speak for a second. I couldn't. She said, small, humiliated, "I'm sorry. That's the part that killed me." She apologized. That is what they do to people like her. That's what men like him do. They put you in a position where you are the one who's been insulted, disrespected, taken advantage of, threatened, and you still feel like you should apologize for making trouble. Something in me hardened in that moment and never softened again. I said, "Don't be sorry. Don't you dare be sorry. You didn't do anything wrong." Then I hung up, walked straight past my supervisor, straight past my co-workers, straight into Rick's office, and shut the door behind me a little harder than normal. He was leaned back with his feet on the desk, scrolling on his phone. He didn't even look up when I came in. "Rick," I said, and my voice wasn't shouting. It was flat, dangerous. He grinned before he looked away from his phone. He could already tell. He could smell rage like a shark smells blood. Hey, he said. "Relax, close the door fully, would you?" "It's closed." He finally looked up. Now here's the thing about Rick. He had this look he used when he thought he was about to own you. Chin up, eyebrows cocked like you just walked into his courtroom. "Listen," he said, all fake sincere, all faux HR friendly. "I get that emotions are high right now. It's always tough when personal and professional get tangled. But what did you say to her?" He smiled. "I didn't say anything," he said. "I had a conversation. I evaluate culture fit. That's literally in my job description. If someone's not representing us the way we expect, you got her fired because she said no to you." His face didn't flinch, and that's how I knew it was true. He didn't even bother pretending. He just smirked. He leaned forward on his elbows. "If she's going to be a problem, she's gone. That's it. That's how this works." And then, just to make sure I understood exactly what kind of man I was talking to, he said, casual, like we were talking sports, "You'll find another one." I don't remember leaving his office. I don't remember walking back to the floor. I remember grabbing my chair like it was the only thing keeping me upright. I didn't throw a punch. I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. Because in that moment, I realized something important. If I went at him right then, I'd lose. Right then, he had the advantage. He had the title. He had the connections. He had the story already written. He's emotional. He's out of control. He's threatening me. And there's something else. He knew I wasn't going to HR, and he was right. Because you tell HR, "My boss tried to sleep with my girlfriend who works at a different branch and she said no and now she's fired." And you know what HR hears? Lawsuit risk. Not "this is wrong," not "this is disgusting," not "this is immoral." They hear legal exposure. And then they go in to protect the company mode, and you get labeled the problem. Knew how this played, so I sat and I breathed and I made a decision that changed everything that followed. Wasn't going to scream. I was going to end him, and I already knew exactly how. Because here's the part about Rick that's going to matter. Later, Rick had a hobby, photography. He took pictures of himself with the women he cheated with. He kept them, not on his phone, which could be synced, not at home where his wife might see, kept them at work. And he liked to show them off, like trophies, like proof. That was his weakness. Powerful. Men with addictions always have a vault. Always. The vault is where they hide the thing that can kill them. And Rick's vault was in his desk. All I had to do was get in. That was when I stopped thinking like an employee and started thinking like a thief. That was the night I stopped sleeping. I lay in bed in the dark, playing the plan over and over in my mind. If I was going to do this, it had to be clean. No fingerprints, no cameras, no copies I couldn't deny. It had to be so quiet that he wouldn't even know who had hit him until it was too late to stop it. I had to break him in a way that he couldn't publicly connect. To me, I had to hit him where it would actually hurt. Let me be extremely clear about this. Men like Rick don't care about HR. They don't care about compliance training. They don't care about being reported. You cannot embarrass someone who has no shame, but you can cost them their wife. You can cost them half their money. You can cost them the house. You can cost them their public image. You can cost them a divorce settlement so brutal they never financially recover. That was the plan. I wasn't aiming for his job. I was aiming for his life. And the best part? He'd already done all the work for me. I just had to collect it. I just had to touch the vault. End of part 1. What happens next is patience, timing, and one unlocked door that changed everything. Stay with me. People think revenge is adrenaline. It's not. It's patience, and patience hurts. After Anna got fired, I watched her fall apart in slow motion, and I couldn't stop it. She didn't cry right away. That's the thing that broke me. She didn't scream, didn't rage, didn't call me from the parking lot yelling, "I'm suing him! I'm going to burn this place down." She went quiet, scarily quiet. The next time I saw her, in person, not on the phone, she had that tight face people wear when they're trying not to shake. We met up halfway between our towns in some sad off-brand diner off the highway. The kind of place with plastic menus and coffee that tastes like burnt rubber. She was already there when I got there, hands wrapped around a mug that had gone cold. She dressed nice. That hurt me too. She'd done her hair, done a little makeup, even though she'd just been kicked out of her job and had nowhere to be that day. She still tried. She still came to me put together. "Hey," I said, sliding into the booth. She tried to smile. It cracked at the edges. "Hey." We sat like that for a minute, not touching the menus. Finally, I said, "You want to tell me what happened?" "All of it?" She swallowed, nodded. She didn't look at me when she talked. She looked down at her hands. She told me everything he said, everything he did. Word for word, I look after people who look after me. "You're beautiful. Your boyfriend doesn't have to." "I know. You'll regret that." That last one made my jaw clench so hard it hurt. Then she said the thing that made my stomach twist into a knot. He smiled when I got escorted out. I saw him down the hall. He smiled. It wasn't just about getting what he wanted. It was about ruining what I had. He didn't just want her. He wanted to prove he could take her from me. Humiliation as sport. That was his core, she said, barely audible. Was I stupid? I should have just... I don't know. I should have laughed, maybe. I shouldn't have told him no like that. I should have just... I slapped my palm flat against the table. Anna jumped. Everyone in the diner looked at me. I forced my voice down. "Don't you dare," I whispered. "Don't you dare make yourself smaller for him. Don't you dare rewrite this like you did something wrong." Her eyes were glassy. Her jaw was tight. "I just didn't want to lose my job." "I know," I said. "I know. And I'm going to fix it." She let out this little sound like a laugh that never got born. "You can't fix it." I leaned back, looked her in the eye, let her see something in me I hadn't let anyone see yet. "Yes," I said. "I can." That was the first time I said it out loud. It tasted like metal. Here's something no one tells you about being a man watching someone hurt the woman you love. You go a little insane. You're sitting in a diner across from the person you want to protect more than anything, and they're shaking in front of you, and you can't rewind the tape, you can't undo the damage, you can't go back 2 days and stand in that office. You can't make it fair. You can only make it expensive, and I knew how, but I couldn't tell her yet. Not because I thought she'd stop me. Because I couldn't risk her carrying it on her face. Rick saw everything. Rick read people for sport. If I told her, and then Rick saw her again, and she looked at him differently, he'd smell it. He'd get cautious. He'd lock the vault. I needed him arrogant. I needed him careless. So I sat across from the woman I loved, and I said, "Trust me, I'm going to fix it." And I couldn't tell her how, and she just stared at me like she both did and didn't believe me. And I went home that night shaking, not from fear. From rage I couldn't burn anywhere. That was the escalation for me, not the firing, not the humiliation, the helplessness. The fact that I had to sit with the fire in me and not move. Yet, that kind of waiting makes you tremble. Let me tell you about Rick's office. Corner office, but not a fancy corner office. Our building wasn't some glass skyscraper. It was industrial. Cinder block bones pretending to be corporate. Beige carpet, scuffed faded blue blinds, that hum of old fluorescent lighting that makes your head ache by 3 p.m. Rick's office had a door with a cheap lock, a desk that was way too expensive for what it sat on, and 2 framed awards he'd basically nominated himself for. He also had a file cabinet, metal, dark gray, bottom left drawer stuck sometimes, but the important thing was his desk. His desk had drawers that only locked if you locked them, which he almost never did. That's how arrogant he was. Now, normal weekdays, that office is never empty. He might be in a meeting, yeah, but that door is shut and those blinds are half closed and you're not getting in there without someone noticing. He keeps his photography in there, his collection, the proof, the blackmail, honestly, because that's what it really is when you think about it. Evidence that he could hold against those women if any of them ever tried to speak up. He'd brag about them to the guys. You'd hear him on the floor, low voice, grinning. "Look at this one." She was wild. You wouldn't think it looking at her in accounting, right? This one begged me not to tell her boyfriend. Look at her face. God, I love that scared face. Check this angle. That's how he talked about them, like they were meat. Like they weren't people with lives outside his ego, but he knew not to take those pictures home. His wife worked for the company. She was in the system. She wasn't stupid. She could walk past him at breakfast, see something in his jacket pocket, and his whole world would evaporate. So he thought, I'll keep them at work. I'll keep them under my nose. I'll keep them where I control access. He really, truly believed that was safe. He never considered someone like me. Here's the problem. To get into that office, I needed access without Rick in the building. Without half the building in the building. And we had one window like that. Saturday overtime. The company ran lean, which meant that when deadlines hit, certain departments, not everyone, would get authorized OT on weekends to finish out orders, get product packaged, do inventory corrections, clean up messes that would otherwise screw Monday. I'm not going to act like I was a hero. I took every OT hour they offered. I needed the money. We all did. Saturday overtime is funny. The building is technically open, but it's hollow. You can hear your own footsteps echo. Lights are off in half the wings. You'll see one forklift guy way in the back of shipping. You'll see one girl in inventory doing counts with headphones on. It feels like being backstage in a theater after the audience has gone home. And on Saturdays, facilities comes through. Cleaning crew comes through. You see where this is going. I knew, we all knew, that the cleaning crew had master keys. They had to. Otherwise they can't vacuum, can't empty bins, can't wipe down desks. I also knew Rick never came in on Saturdays unless it was to check up on someone and yell at them. That meant his office, unlocked by cleaners without him there. That was my opening. Now read this part carefully, because this is the part that almost went wrong. And if it had, I wouldn't be telling you this story right now, because I'd probably be in prison for assault. It was a Saturday. Quiet building. Low hum. Smell of cleaning spray hanging in the air. I came in for OT. Clipboard in my hand. Tape measure. pen behind my ear. You always carry a prop when you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. Props make you look like you belong. 40 p.m. I knew Rick was out of town that weekend. He'd bragged about it the day before. Some trip to check on our other branch. Translation: new hotel, new woman to chase. I waited. I stayed visible. If you hide, you look suspicious. If you act normal, you're normal. I did some actual work in production, just to keep myself legit. Then, like an answered prayer, I saw her. Cleaning crew, middle-aged woman in a polo and rubber gloves, pushing a little cart with a trash bag and sprays and rags, making her rounds. She tapped on Rick's office door, then unlocked it. Just like I knew she would. I followed, not instantly. That's suspicious. I walked past the door once, glanced in, saw the door open, no one inside but her. Then I looped around the other side of the floor, came back with my clipboard, and did that thing where you pretend to measure the wall so you can update drawings. "Hey," I said to her, casual, like I was just passing by, "can I just pop in and grab a measurement off his desk real quick? I've got to update some layout stuff for Monday." She barely looked at me. She was on week 1,000 of not being paid enough to care. She just nodded. "Yeah, love. Just close the door behind you when you're done. Do you have any idea what it feels like in your body when a door like that closes behind you?" My throat was dry. My palms were already sweating. My heartbeat was in my mouth. I turned the lock, stood in Rick's office, alone. His chair still smelled like that awful cologne he wore. That overcompensating "look how masculine I am" cologne that always arrived before he did. The blinds were half shut. Dust on the sill, 2 coffee cups on his desk, one with a lipstick mark that wasn't his wife's, because she wore a different shade. I didn't have time to sit there and be disgusted. I went straight for the drawers, top right. Pens, headache pills, breath mints, condoms. How predictable middle right. Notebook, invoices, random cables, a cheap World's Best Boss mug someone gave him as a joke but he took seriously. Bottom right, stuck, just like I knew. I had to jiggle it, open nothing but files left side. Top, stapler, extra business cards, receipts, middle left. This one he'd bothered to lock. Tiny keyhole. I didn't have a key. But here's where luck stepped in. The bottom left drawer, the one you'd think was just paperwork. It stuck too, and if you pulled that one hard, and like really hard, it would jolt the whole cheap desk frame just enough to rattle the middle left. So I pulled hard. The bottom left jerked open, in the back, not the front. Not the obvious, "oh, don't look here" front, in the very back. Stacked tight together and wrapped in rubber bands like cash. Was the vault, photos, dozens, maybe 100. Printed, glossy, thick stack of filth. My hands actually started shaking. You know why? Because in that moment, all the theory became real. I wasn't imagining anymore. I wasn't fantasizing. I wasn't, "one day I'll get him." I had him, in my hands. I flipped through just the first few and felt my stomach twist. There he was, Rick, his face in the frame, his wedding ring in the frame, his whole stupid grin in the frame, his body, absolutely unforgivable and absolutely identifiable, in the frame, and not with his wife. Not a single one with his wife. Redheads, brunettes, dark hair, tattoos, corporate polo shirts I recognized from other branches. Faces turned away, or hair-covering faces because he knew to protect them just enough to make it look consensual, but he never covered his face because he was proud, because pride is what kills men like him, because he thought nothing could touch him. I didn't take one or two. I took the whole stack, all of it. I slid them into the inside pocket of my jacket, zipped that pocket shut, straightened my face, shut his desk, shut his office door behind me, nodded at the cleaner in the hallway on my way out like thanks, and walked calmly out to my car. I did not run. I did not look over my shoulder. I drove away from that building like you drive away from a crime you absolutely did commit and absolutely do not regret. I sat in my car in the parking lot of a grocery store 2 miles away, hands on the steering wheel, and just breathed. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my teeth. My fingers were tingling. That's adrenaline. That's your body letting you know. You just crossed a line you cannot step back over. And here's the thing. I wasn't scared. I was alive. I was shaking with this high. This electric charge because I knew I had the bullet that would end him. I looked down at my jacket. Right there, sitting in that zipped inner pocket, was his entire downfall, his marriage ending. Asset dividing, reputation detonating, lawyer feeding downfall. I was holding it. And that's when the plan got simple. That's when I realized how I was going to do it in a way that would make sure it hit with the maximum force possible. Because I wasn't going to HR. I wasn't going to his boss. I wasn't going to him. I was going to his wife. End of part 2. And trust me, part 3 is where it gets surgical. You know how? In movies, people grab evidence and then immediately confront the villain and scream, "I've got you now." That's emotion. Emotion gets you killed. I wasn't playing with emotion anymore. I was working with leverage. And leverage requires patience and precision. If I was going to take him down, I had to think like him, just smarter. Let's talk about Rick's wife. She wasn't clueless. I want to make that crystal clear, because people hear the wife and they picture someone naive, someone totally oblivious to what's happening around her. She wasn't dumb. She worked in the company too. Different office, similar level. She knew how Rick was. Everyone knew how Rick was. You can't keep something like that secret forever. But here's the difference between knowing and knowing. There's suspicion. And then there's proof. There's, "I think my husband cheats." And then there's, "Here is a high-resolution photo of my husband with his face and wedding ring, visible inside another woman." Those are two different planets. Suspicion keeps you frozen. Proof gives you a weapon. Rick counted on her never getting the weapon. He made sure she'd never accidentally find the pictures at home. He kept his lies compartmentalized. His wife knew something was off, and that's almost guaranteed, but she didn't have leverage. I was about to give it to her. The next problem: timing. If I handed the pictures to her while he was still home, he could intercept, spin, lie. He was a talker, a manipulator, the kind of man who could flip a story in under 10 seconds and make you doubt your own memory. He'd claim it was consensual role play. He'd claim it was old. He'd claim they were photoshopped. He'd cry. He'd rage. He'd love bomb. Whatever it took to keep her from walking, I needed her to receive the truth when he was physically not there to distort it. And guess what? He was already doing the work for me because Rick traveled for work. All the time. The same way he traveled when he cornered my girlfriend branch visits, process, audits, quality checks, translation, road trips to go cheat. So I waited. That was one of the hardest waits of my life. Imagine this. You're sitting at home. On your kitchen table is a stack of printed, undeniable evidence that could nuke a man's entire world. It's sitting there like a bomb, and you have to ignore it for days. I wrapped the photos in an old towel and stuck them in an empty toolbox in my closet. That toolbox stayed locked. That lock stayed under my pillow. That's how paranoid I was. I checked that lock 3 times a night. I started sleeping light. Kept waking up sweaty. Kept seeing Anna's face in my head. The way she'd looked in that diner, hands wrapped around a cold mug, eyes shining but refusing to spill. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and just sit on the edge of the bed staring at the dark thinking, 3 more days, 2 more days, 1 more day. And every day, I still had to go to work and look Rick in the face. He'd grin at me like we were buddies. He'd say things like, "So, how's the long-distance situation going?" Just to rub salt in it, he'd lean in close to my ear and whisper, "You doing okay, man? You've seemed stressed. Don't bring drama into work, okay? We're professionals here." The urge to break his nose with my forehead in that moment was almost physical. I swear to you, I could feel the impact that didn't happen. My muscles would tense one by one like a coiled spring. But I didn't move, because every time I felt my vision go red, I'd remind myself, not yet. Not like this. He thinks he's untouchable. Let him. One afternoon in the break area, He even had the nerve to drop one of his photography comments in front of me like a test. He leaned back in his chair, showed one of the guys some half-hidden corner of a picture, laughing under his breath. "Look at that hair, redhead, wild, could not get enough of me." I kept my face blank and stirred my coffee. On the inside? On the inside, I was smiling, because I'd already taken everything. He just didn't know. Yet, finally, he went on another trip. "I heard it on a Thursday, heading out tomorrow," he bragged to one of the other managers. "Gotta whip that other branch into shape. Standards are slipping." Oh, I bet. I pretended I wasn't listening while every nerve in my spine lit like someone plugged me into a generator. This was it. That night, after my shift, I went straight home, locked the door, pulled out the toolbox, and laid the photos out on my kitchen table like evidence in a crime drama. I didn't look at all of them. I couldn't. It was gross. It was invasive. It was too much. But I looked at enough to build what I needed. And what I needed was this. Images where his face was fully visible. Images where his wedding ring was visible. Images where the women's hair color clearly wasn't his wife's. That last part sounds petty. It's not. Rick's wife was blonde. Half the women in those photos were not. Red hair, dark hair, dyed black, auburn. That matters in court, because when you're married and your spouse opens an envelope and sees you, physically on top of a woman who clearly isn't them, that's hard to explain away. I set aside about a dozen pictures, all clean, all sharp, all damning. I wanted enough to end him, not enough to traumatize her more than necessary. I'm not a monster. I didn't want to hurt her. I wanted her free. Then I did something I'm still proud of. I didn't send anything from near my work. I didn't send anything from my own town, because if anything was going to come back, it could not come back to me. I drove to his town. I knew where he lived. Everyone did. He bragged about his house like it made him a better human being. Big place, nice street, nice cars out front. Perfect, clean, suburban. Successful. I drove to his town, but not to his house. To the nearest post office to his house. Why? Because if you're not trying to get caught, you don't just drop something in your own mailbox. You hand it to a system designed to move things where they need to go without asking questions. The entire drive there, my heart was beating steady. I thought I'd be nervous. I wasn't. You know what I felt? Calm, ice water calm. That freaked me out more than anything, because that was the moment I understood. I was past anger, past outrage, past humiliation. This wasn't about emotion anymore. This was about justice. I parked, sat in the lot in my car for a second, opened the envelope, checked the contents one last time. Rick's face, Rick's body, Rick's wedding ring, Rick's smirk, 4 different women, 4 different dates, 4 different locations. I recognized one hotel chain in the background of a shot. Could have testified to it. It was perfect. I sealed the envelope up again. No return address, obviously. And then I did one last thing. I wrote her name on it. His wife's name. Not to the household of. Not to the family of. Her name. That matters. Because if you're mailing something sensitive and you address it to both of them, he can open it legally and say, "Oh, babe, look what came. Let me handle this." If you address it to her, only her, any decent spouse is going to go, "This is mine," and open it alone. I wanted her to have the weapon in her own hands, not in his. Then I walked inside, bought stamps cash, asked for nothing, and dropped my little care package into the outgoing mail stream. And that was it. No dramatic speech, no whispered checkmate. Just a thunk of paper sliding into a blue bin that changed his entire future. I walked back to my car feeling like I'd just stepped out of my body. End of part 3. Part 4 is what happened next, and how fast a god can fall when you take away his worshippers. Let me tell you something about men like Rick. They think consequences are for everyone else. When they get angry at someone, there are consequences. When someone gets angry at them, it's overreaction. They walk around untouchable for so long. They think it's permanent. It's not. It just takes the right kind of impact to crack them. Rick's impact arrived in his mailbox, and I wasn't there to see it, obviously. I wish I could tell you I was hiding in the bushes across the street with popcorn, I wasn't, but I can tell you what happened after. Because word gets around. Fast first crack. He didn't come in Monday. That alone wouldn't mean much. People get sick. Second crack, his wife called in. Not to HR, to one of the senior admins. And when I say called in, what I mean is she called in loud, and in our world. That means something serious has detonated. People talk. Secretaries talk. Admins talk. Drivers talk. Forklift guys talk. You can't sneeze without half the building knowing you've got a cold, and the version that came back to us in pieces sounded like this. She opened the envelope while he was out of town. She saw everything. She waited for him to get home. She didn't scream right away. Didn't hit him. Didn't cry in his chest. She waited until he got comfortable. Then she laid the photos out, like evidence, like you'd lay knives on a table, and she asked, very calmly, "Who are these women?" No wiggle room. Not "is this you?" Not "what is this?" Not "explain this." Straight to the point. Straight to guilt. I respect that. Now, I wasn't there for his excuses, but I can tell you exactly what he tried, because men like him are all the same. He would have started with denial. "Babe, those aren't real. It's Photoshop. Someone's trying to ruin me." Then, when that didn't land, because I gave her images with hotel logos in the background, with his face in perfect lighting, with his ring showing, and he would have switched to minimizing. It was just once. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. Then, when that didn't land, he would have attacked her. If you'd been there for me, I wouldn't have needed this. You've been cold to me lately. Marriage is complicated. He probably cycled through all 3 phases in under 5 minutes. You know what she did? She didn't forgive him. She called a lawyer, and not just any lawyer. She called a lawyer who was hungry. I heard later, and trust me, this part made the entire building buzz for weeks, that her lawyer didn't just go after "I want out." Her lawyer went after Bloodhouse, cars, accounts, benefits. She didn't just leave him, she took him to the cleaners. The exact words I heard later, through the little grapevine that grows in break rooms and loading bays, were, she divorced him and she took him to the cleaners. And here's the part that's going to sound evil, but I want you to really sit with it before you judge me. When I heard that, when I heard he was getting steamrolled in divorce court because of the evidence I provided, I slept. For the first time in weeks, I slept. Like a stone. No tossing. No waking up in a sweat. No clenching my jaw so hard it ached. I laid down and I slept like someone had finally turned off the alarm in my head, because justice is quiet. It doesn't always come with a soundtrack. Sometimes it's just stillness. Now work. Work was interesting. Rick came back a different person. You ever seen a lion with a limp? Looks the same, but the other animals know. You can smell fear coming off them. He wasn't loud anymore. He wasn't strutting around, waving his phone and bragging. No more. Check this one out. Boys. No more sitting on the edge of someone's desk, open-legged, acting like he owned them. He walked like the air was heavier. He started coming in late, leaving early, taking personal calls in his office with the door shut and the blinds fully closed. He lost weight fast, stress weight. He stopped making eye contact. All that power? Gone. Because power is never just money or title. Power is confidence. And his had been ripped out of him. Spinal cord pulled like a string. I saw him one morning in the hallway, maybe a week after the photos landed. He looked at me, and I'll never forget it. He dropped his eyes. This man who had smiled at me and said, "You'll find another one." This man who fired my girlfriend for saying no. This man who thought he was untouchable. He couldn't look at me, because on some level, even if he didn't know for sure, he knew. He knew something had shifted. He knew I wasn't scared of him anymore. He knew he wasn't over me anymore. He knew the balance was gone. That's when I let myself feel it, not gloating, not giddiness, relief, like a pressure valve hissing open inside my chest. Because every day since Anna got fired, I'd been carrying this tight-coiled fury inside me. I'd been walking around with a loaded spring in my ribs, not letting it go because I needed my hands steady to finish the plan. Now it loosened. Now I was breathing different. Now I could look Anna in the eyes and say, "He's not going to hurt you again. And no, I wasn't lying. And let me tell you about Anna. After everything, after the humiliation, after the firing, after losing her paycheck and her sense of safety and part of her identity, because that's what being in a job for years does. It becomes part of how you understand yourself after all that. She didn't crumble. She rebuilt, slowly at first, cautious, wounded, but moving. She picked up temp work. She interviewed. She held her head high in those interviews, even though inside she told me she felt stained. Like, they'll know I've been thrown away. They'll know I'm damaged goods. That killed me, hearing her say that. But she kept going, and I kept showing up. Every step of this story, I kept showing up. Coffee runs, rides, printed resumes, sitting with her while she filled out online applications, talking her down when her anxiety spiked at 1 a.m., making dinner for her when she was too numb to eat, reminding her she wasn't disposable, because that's what Rick tried to make her believe, that she was disposable. And we don't let that stand in this house. You don't get to discard what I love and walk away still feeling like a man. You don't get to throw her out because she wouldn't let you touch her and then go home to your wife like you're decent. You don't get to smile at me and say, you'll find another one. You don't get to, period. So no, I don't regret what I did. I don't regret mailing those photos. I don't regret helping his wife see who he really was. Don't regret triggering the divorce that gutted his finances and stripped him of his perfect little successful husband fantasy, because he earned all of it. Actions have prices. He ran up a tab. I just delivered the bill. Now, you're probably wondering, did I ever get in trouble? Did it ever come back to me? No, because I planned it right. No return address, no fingerprints he could prove, no digital trail, no threats, no blackmail, no demands. Just truth, handed to someone who deserved to know it. And here's the best part. Years later, Anna is still in my life. Actually, she's more than that. She's my wife. You want to talk about full circle endings? The woman he tried to take like I was some nobody in his way, I married her. We built a life. We built safety. We built trust. And we built all of that on a foundation he thought he could shatter. And him, last I heard, he was still working. Because guys like him always find a way to land somewhere if there's money to be made, and people too timid to say no. But he wasn't the same. He didn't have the ring he loved flashing around. Didn't have the wife behind him to play the family man card. Didn't have the house that made him feel like a king. He was lighter in the worst way. Lighter in assets. He was living small. He was humbled. And he was alone. That's not jail. That's not a mugshot. That's not public shame, but it's worse. Because now every night he lies down with himself. No noise, no applause, no audience, just himself. And he has to face what he is without anyone left to pretend he's not. That, to me, is justice. You have to understand something. This isn't just a story about cheating. This is a story about power. Rick didn't try to sleep with Anna because he was lonely. He tried because he could. Because in his head, every woman around him was inventory he could sample. He didn't fire her because she was bad at her job. He fired her because she told him no. He tried to take away her income, her confidence, her stability, her future, to prove a point, to prove that he could. That's what this whole thing was about to him. Control. So I took the one thing he thought was untouchable. I took control away, and I didn't have to throw a punch. Here's what I learned. Some people only understand loss. You can talk to them. You can appeal to their morals. You can explain how they're hurting people. They don't care. The only language they speak is consequence. You don't have to meet them in the dirt. You don't have to become them to beat them. You don't have to scream. You don't have to threaten. You document. You plan. You let them hang themselves with their own rope. Quiet revenge is scarier than loud revenge. Loud revenge gets you arrested. Quiet revenge gets you results. In the end, he lost his wife. She took half. He lost his image. He lost the only power he actually loved. And me, I got the only thing I ever wanted out of all of this, Anna safe. Because that's what this was always about, not pride, not ego, not, you touched my girl, now I'm gonna hurt you. It was about safety. He made her feel small. I made sure she never had to feel that way again. And we're happy now. We aren't mad anymore. We don't bring him up much. Sometimes at night, years later, she'll lean into me and say, "Do you remember that time?" And I'll say, "Yeah, I remember." And she'll say, "Thank you." And I'll say, "Always." Because that's what love is supposed to feel. Like, not fear, not pressure, not "you'll regret." That safety. If you've ever had someone with power take something from you and act like you couldn't fight back. I see you. Tell me in the comments, would you have done it? Would you have mailed those photos? Would you have burned him that way? Hit like if you believe in quiet revenge. Hit subscribe if you think people like Rick deserve what's coming to them. And remember, some men only learn when you set fire to the throne they built out of other people's pain.